A young woman, full of life, walking home alone in the dead of night, her future ahead of her, but one predator lurking in the shadows. What began as a night out with friends quickly turned into a nightmare that would shake a community to its core. This is the chilling story of Libby Squire and the man who took everything from her. Libby Squire was a 21-year-old philosophy student at the University of Hull with a bright future ahead of her. She was the eldest of 4 children, raised in High Wycombe by her loving parents, Lisa and Russ. Libby was a young woman full of life, described as down-to-earth, sociable, and caring. Her friends and family cherished her warmth and nurturing nature, and she had a long-term boyfriend, Connor Pye, with whom she often discussed their shared dreams of marriage and children. To those who knew her, Libby's personality radiated optimism and ambition, and she was a beloved figure in her close-knit circle. On the night of January 31st, 2019, Libby, like many university students, was preparing for a night out with her friends. The city of Hull was blanketed in snow, and the temperature had dropped sharply, the winter night's chill setting the stage for events that no one could have predicted. Libby and her friends had gathered at a local house for pre-drinks before heading out to The Welly, a popular nightclub among students. The club was known for its vibrant atmosphere, and it was the perfect place to let loose and have fun. However, Libby's night was about to take a dark turn. As the night wore on, Libby consumed a little too much alcohol. When the group arrived at the nightclub, Libby was refused entry due to her intoxication. Embarrassed but undeterred, her friends decided to continue the night without her, but only after ensuring she was safely in a taxi back home. At 11:26 p.m., Libby entered the taxi and it pulled away, with her friends waving her off. That would be the last time they would see her alive. What was supposed to be a night of fun and laughter quickly spiraled into something far more tragic. No one could have foreseen that the brief taxi ride would be the final moments of Libby's life, a night that would forever change the lives of those who loved her. At precisely 11:29 p.m., Libby arrived home, but what happened next would set in motion a series of tragic events. After getting out of the taxi, Libby was seen walking alone along Beverly Road. Surveillance footage confirmed that she left her home shortly after, walking away into the cold night, never to return. Pavel Relowich was a 24-year-old man living in Hull, having moved from Poland in 2012. He appeared to live a quiet, ordinary life, a married man with 2 young children and a job as a butcher. Relowich was known to enjoy going to the gym and had a reputation for being hard-working. To those around him, he seemed like an unremarkable family man. However, beneath this exterior, Relowich harbored a dark and disturbing side. Between December 2017 and January 2019, a series of disturbing incidents linked him to crimes around the Hull area. He was accused of voyeurism, observing women through their windows while they undressed. Several victims reported that he had broken into their homes and stolen personal items, including underwear and sex toys. His actions went beyond theft. He had been seen performing sexual acts in public, shocking local residents. His behavior raised concerns, but at the time, he had not been fully linked to any serious crimes in the area. On the night of January 31st, 2019, Libby Squire, a 21-year-old philosophy student at the University of Hull, went out with friends to a local nightclub, The Welly. After being refused entry due to excessive drinking, Libby was sent home in a taxi at 11:26 p.m., a decision made to ensure her safety. However, what should have been a simple taxi ride home turned tragic. Libby was dropped off at 11:29 p.m., and just minutes later, she was seen leaving her house on CCTV footage, walking alone into the bitterly cold night. Around 11:57 p.m., Relowich was seen on CCTV crossing Beverly Road, near where Libby had been walking. He was captured on camera in the same area, walking in her direction. At this point, it was unclear if Relowich had any specific intentions, but it soon became evident that he was moving toward Libby. She was clearly vulnerable, stumbling due to intoxication. Surveillance footage showed her struggling to stay on her feet, a clear sign that she was in no condition to fend for herself. Relowich's path and timing were significant. He was seen walking in the same direction as Libby, and it wasn't long before he intercepted her as they disappeared from view together. Their movements were captured by multiple cameras, piecing together a chilling timeline of events. This would be the last sighting of Libby alive. Despite his criminal history, Relowich was not immediately suspected of any involvement in Libby's disappearance. At the time, no one could have connected him to her case. But as the investigation into Libby's disappearance unfolded, his prior offenses, coupled with surveillance footage, would soon place him at the center of the investigation. The night of Libby Squire's disappearance unfolded with chilling precision, captured through CCTV footage and witness accounts. After leaving her home at 11:29 p.m., Libby walked alone along Beverly Road. She stumbled multiple times, clearly intoxicated, and fell onto the pavement at one point. Two local residents, noticing her distress, stopped to help her, placing her on a bench. However, after 10 minutes, Libby waved them off and continued on her way. At 11:57 p.m., surveillance footage shows Pavel Relowich crossing Beverly Road, heading in Libby's direction. Just after 12 a.m., he crossed the road again and intercepted her. The two disappeared from view, walking into a secluded area near a former nunnery. This marked the last time Libby was seen alive. Relowich's movements that night were carefully tracked through CCTV footage. At 12:02 a.m., they were seen walking back together along Beverly Road. A short while later, Libby was seen entering Relowich's car. This footage, which would later be the last confirmed sighting of her, provided critical evidence linking Relowich to Libby's abduction. By 12:08 a.m., Relowich's car was seen leaving the area, and Libby was never seen again. The investigation that followed pieced together this timeline through surveillance and witness testimony. The discovery of this footage, along with the confirmation of their movements, solidified the belief that Relowich was involved in Libby's disappearance. The next critical development came with the police investigation. Over the following days, officers scoured the area and reviewed all available footage. This investigation was crucial in connecting the dots and gathering the necessary evidence that would eventually lead to the arrest of Pavel Relowich. After Libby's body was discovered in the Humber estuary on March 20, 2019, the case quickly escalated. On February 7, 2019, Pavel Relowich was arrested on suspicion of abduction, and his vehicle was seized. In his car, police found a pink duffel bag containing stolen items, sex toys, and underwear from students' homes. This discovery linked him to multiple crimes, further intensifying the investigation. Libby's body was officially identified by the coroner on March 21, 2019. Her cause of death remained undetermined, though asphyxia could not be ruled out. Toxicology results showed that Libby had a blood alcohol level 2.5 times over the legal limit, confirming her intoxication at the time of her death. There were also signs of trauma, with bruising on her abdomen, chest, and thighs. Her body had been in the water for weeks, which made determining the exact cause of death difficult. As evidence against him mounted, Relowich was formally charged with the rape and murder of Libby Squire in October 2019. His trial began in January 2021. Throughout the proceedings, the prosecution presented a disturbing catalog of Relowich's previous sexual offenses, including voyeurism, burglary, and public indecency. The jury deliberated on the charges, and on February 11, 2021, they found Relowich guilty of both rape and murder. He was sentenced to a minimum of 27 years in prison, with the possibility of parole in 2048. Relowich's family, devastated by his conviction, abandoned him, fleeing back to Poland. While in prison, he wrote a letter to his wife, expressing regret, but also asking for money to be sent for his comfort. This letter, however, only highlighted his complete lack of remorse. The aftermath of Libby's murder left an indelible mark on her family and the Hull community. Libby's parents, Lisa and Russ, spoke publicly about their grief, and tributes to Libby flooded the area where she was last seen. Though justice was served, the tragedy of Libby's death continues to be felt by those who loved her.